all are in for a special treat tonight. We've got some representatives from the AJGA Junior Golf Association here. And before we do that, we had a couple of announcements that we wanted to put out. And one of the first announcements we wanted to make is we wanted to extend some safe travel to all of our junior golfers that are going to attend the MAC Champ Invitational in a couple of weeks. So we're really excited about that event, and that's going to be a big event out at Memorial Park Golf Club in Houston, Texas. So we are definitely excited about that, and we want to also remind everyone to don't forget to register for the Masters Drive, Chip, and Putt contest coming up at Augusta National. So make sure y'all register for that. Of course, there are going to be 3 locations that you have to qualify at. So make sure you get your juniors signed up for that as well. Also, the BGA, the Alliance, we're hosting a tournament in Houston to support a historically Black university, Texas Southern University. Our goal is to raise $15,000 for an indoor golf facility in Houston, Texas for TSU. So we are definitely excited about that. And there, if we have enough juniors signed up, we will have a junior division at that tournament in Houston, Texas. Also, there's a Pbe local qualifier that's happening. So please check your local tournaments for that Pbe local qualifier. Of course, that's going to be a big thing. Of course, you know, Pbe, they actually had, I think, the final round televised on the Golf Channel. So that was a real exciting event for a lot of juniors. So we are excited about all of the things that are coming up for 2021. Seems like everything is opening up again, and we are in, it looks like it's going to be a big 2021 for junior golf. So without any further delay, I want to introduce our co-host for tonight. The co-host guys, the first person I want to recognize, and I'm going to turn the program over to them. I want to recognize Patrick Plank, who's a senior regional director for the Northeast area. He has been with the AJGA for 8 years and is the tournament director for the Polo Junior Golf Classic. And so we are so excited to have him on tonight. And Patrick is originally from Wisconsin. Okay, that's where the cheeseheads are, right, Patrick?
That's right.
Green Bay, right? And he now resides in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're excited to have him on tonight. And Patrick attended the University of Wisconsin, where he was a member of the track and field team. So you were pretty fast, right, Patrick?
Back in the day, not so much anymore.
Okay, good. And yeah, we want to also introduce Kayla Roberts. She's the Northeast Regional Manager for the AJGA, and she's originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City, right?
Yep, the QC.
That's right. Kayla currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia, where the AJGA is headquartered, and she's been with the AJGA for over 4 years, and she's also been the tournament director for the Harold Varner III Foundation Junior All-Star Program. So we're so excited to have the AJGA on tonight. And so without any further delay, I want to turn the program over to Patrick Plank. Patrick, take it away.
Well, thank you, Ro. We appreciate you guys having us here today. And we're certainly excited to share some information about the AJGA. And there's probably going to be a lot of questions out there. And our goal is to hopefully get some more information out there to those that are listening. And certainly if there's questions afterwards, we'll have some time to answer those. But to start out, one of the most popular questions that we probably get is, what is the AJGA? And so I'll actually turn it over to Kayla to kind of start the conversation there, and then we'll kind of go back and forth throughout the evening here.
Definitely, definitely. So I think the most important place to start when talking about the AJGA is our mission. And the AJGA is we are a 501c3 nonprofit and really dedicated to the overall growth and development of young men and women who aspire to earn college golf scholarships through competitive junior golf. And you can definitely break that down into two parts. The first being the overall growth and development of the junior golfers, which I'll go ahead and touch on. Of course, we want to be developing these golfers on the course, but we also want to be developing them off the course. And we do that through a few different programs. One of the ones that's really important to us is our Leadership Links program, in which we help players create a platform to raise money and give back to a charity that's important to them. Maybe it's a local charity that is something that means a lot to their family or even themselves. Also, one of our favorite things to do is have our juniors write thank you notes after every event to all of the important people that made the event possible, whether it be the golf course or the sponsors. And then we host junior AMs at a lot of our tournaments, which mimic pro-am. So it allows our juniors to get an opportunity to play with 2 or 3 amateurs that are sponsors, and really just gets them into that environment to interact with those sponsors. And the second part of our mission would, of course, be that college golf exposure and preparation. So the AJGA has over 1,000 coaching members, and we try to set our tournaments up as if they were college events or professional events. And that's everything from the yardages we play to the setup of the course, as well as, of course, implementing the rules of golf and just really giving that competitive platform. And with the AJGA is going to come a few different things beyond just the golf. Of course, we have a great player services department who we lean on for any questions, whether it be about that performance-based entry, the stars, which Patrick will touch on a little bit later, or our ACE grant program. And our ACE grant program is our financial assistance program, which I wanted to just talk about a little bit. ACE grant stands for Achieving Competitive Excellence. And the goal of that is to provide financial assistance to those that are able to compete at the level, but may not have the financial means to do so. So this program was founded in 2003, and since then, we've been able to reimburse over $4.8 million. In 2020, we had about 200 recipients that received over $450,000 in reimbursed dollars, and they were able to play in a combined total of about 760 events. And when it comes to the ACE grant, there's a lot of great different resources. I would encourage everyone to look at our website. We actually have a calculator which allows you to easily put in a few different variables about your financial situation and lets you just spit out, if you would be qualified for that ACE grant program.
And I think something else that's important when you're talking about the AJGA is to really talk about who the AJGA is and how old you need to be to get started with the AJGA. So we are a membership organization, so you do need to become an AJGA member in order to play in our events. We have about 7,400 members. We're really worldwide. We've got members from all 50 states and 60 foreign countries. Our membership is comprised of players between the ages of 12 to 19. So provided that you are in that age group, you would be eligible to play in AJGA events. We do host 125 events a year. Our membership is roughly 70% male, 30% female. So when looking at our events, our playing opportunities mimic that membership. So, if you see a field size and you might be wondering why there's not more girls' opportunities, it's reflective of how many players have applied to that event for each respective gender. In addition to our tournaments, we do also host what we call qualifiers, which are one-day events that are designed to create an opportunity to play into the tournament. So on our schedule, we have about 70 events that are just those one-day qualifiers. And really, when it comes to playing in the AJGA, something that a lot of people might have heard is what we call performance-based entry, or more commonly referred to as stars. And stars are essentially the currency when you're talking AJGA and what players need to acquire in order to get accepted into our tournament. So The performance-based entry is a program that we established in 2003. It is an objective system to determine the AJGA tournament field so that every player that is getting into our tournaments has earned the right to be there. And players can earn those PBE stars through a variety of different national, regional, and state events. And we conduct an audit every year to determine how we're awarding those stars and what events we are granting those stars to. But as we look to develop our schedule each year, those opportunities are designed to be balanced regionally based on where our membership is. So, really when it comes to getting started with the AJGA, one of the first questions that a lot of people have is, how do I earn these PBE stars? And there's really 4 different ways that you can go about earning those. And the first is simply by signing up with the AJGA. So once you sign up with the AJGA, you will automatically earn what is called a membership star. And the membership star is reflective of your graduation year. So if you are currently a junior in high school, you are deemed the highest priority in the AJGA star system. And that's designed to mimic what college coaches are looking for. Typically, the junior year is the most commonly recruited year of your high school career. So we want to make sure that those players have the first priority to getting into tournaments. And we reflect that through our membership stars. So in your junior year of high school, when you sign up, you will automatically earn 3 membership stars. Seniors and sophomores will automatically get 2 membership stars. And then freshmen and below will get 1 membership star. So that's what you earn just for signing up. And you cannot fall below that number at any point during the season. Now, the second way to earn PBE stars is by playing in AJGA events. So that's either our events or our qualifiers. And the way our events are set up is that as long as you finish at least 50% or better in your respective gender, you will get at least 1 star back to you. Now, with these stars, it does also cost stars to get accepted into the tournament. So depending on the type of event that you're accepted into, our open series will deduct 4 stars and our junior all-star series will deduct 3 stars. So just depending on where you're at in your development and what events you're getting into, there is going to be some of those stars deducted, but all those fields are filled on a priority basis based on how many stars that the players apply to the event have. Now, in addition to AJGA events, we also recognize over 1,100 other junior tours and their events with our status. So we certainly recognize we can't bring an event to every single community. But what we can do is try to recognize events that are in your community. So if you go to our website, we do have a section that's called the Pbe Schedule. And you can actually go and look by each state and see what events we do recognize with the status. And that schedule is fulfilled on a rolling basis. So tournaments actually have to apply to be accepted into our Pbe program. And there's some meritocracy to being accepted into that. But typically an existing event that's been around with a well-established field and has some history to provide, they might be accepted. And you can look back at previous years if you're not seeing a specific event to see what events may have been awarded that Pbe status in the past. And along with that, one thing that I do want to mention is we did recently partner with US Kids as one of the other tours that we are working with. And so starting this year, any player that finishes in the top 3 priority rankings of the US Kids ranking system will earn some additional stars to help give them priority when looking into AJGA events. And then the last way that we award stars is through national golf rankings. So players that are at a certain level in the rankings will also get some stars that way. So that's kind of a synopsis of how you can earn stars. But then the next question is, okay, once you have the stars, how do you use them? And when players begin looking at the AJGA schedule, you'll see that there's a variety of different events to choose from. And they really fall into 4 different categories when you're looking at our tournament specifically. And from a tournament standpoint, you have our preview series, which is designed explicitly for players that have never played in an AJGA tournament before. So when you're looking at the preview series, you can only play in 1 preview series event, but every player in that tournament will be at the same point. They're all starting their AJGA career. None of them have ever played in an AJGA tournament before. So it's a similar level of playing competition there. The next series, as you're getting started to look at, would be our Junior All-Star Series. Junior All-Star Series is designed explicitly for 12 to 15-year-olds only. And with that 12 to 15-year-old age group, they are all playing the same yardages. So a 12-year-old will be playing against a 15-year-old. And then once you move beyond the 15-year-old age group, you really get into the majority of our schedule, which is called our open series. Our open series is about 60% of our schedule. It is open to all members, so 12 to 19. And with those, again, all players are playing at the same yardages. We don't play age divisions at all. So in theory, a 12-year-old could be competing against an 18-year-old at one of those open events. And then really the cream of the crop and our top players would play in our last series of events, which is called our Invitationals. And that is for the top players of the country, based on national rankings and status that's acquired through playing in our events and other events. And then really one other series that I'll mention that we've added in the last couple of years is called the Senior Showcase, which is 2 separate events explicitly designed for players that are going into their senior year that still have that desire to play college golf, but maybe haven't found the right home. And it's an opportunity for coaches that are late in their recruiting process that might have a spot or 2 still available on their team, just based on how the recruiting fell, where those coaches and those players can all kind of join at those 2 events on our schedule. And it's a really great opportunity for players that are in that situation. In a normal year, non-COVID, that event aligns with the College Golf Coaches Convention out in Las Vegas. So all the college golf coaches in the country are out there at that same time as our tournament. So it's a very easy and convenient spot for players to get recruited at. And so when I talk about all these series of events, again, it does cost that PBE star to get in. And so what you can do is you can go ahead and apply the events that you're interested in. And as players apply, a priority list is created. So the players with the most stars will be at the top of the priority list, and that ranking will go down until whatever our field size is established at. That last player that'll get in will determine how many stars it gets to get into that event. Now, in addition to having stars to get into those events, we also have the one-day qualifiers, which I previously mentioned. And with those one-day qualifiers, they are at about 60% of our events, but we reserve the last 10% of our tournament fields for players to earn their way in from one of those qualifiers. So it does not cost any stars to get accepted into a qualifier. It's just an opportunity to earn stars. And you can choose to play in the qualifier and not play in the tournament. So if you just wanted to play in the qualifier and try to collect some stars, that would be a great opportunity to do so. Or it's a great opportunity to play your way into a tournament without having to spend any stars, provided you finish in kind of the top finishing spots in those qualifiers. So typically, most of the questions we get from players that are interested in getting started with the AJGA are centered around those stars and earning them and spending them and kind of everything that goes in with that. So we certainly welcome any questions that come up, after speaking on that a little bit. But with that, we would certainly welcome any questions from Ro or Corey or anybody else that might be listening.
Okay. So Pat, at this time, I guess we're ready to go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. So anybody that's in the it's in the group, do you have any questions for Pat or Kayla?
So, how's your day? Stressful.
Okay. Hey, Gus, you have a question, Gus?
Yeah, quick question. You mentioned the senior showcase. Is that based on star or is that just based on first come, first serve?
So the senior showcase is based on strictly graduation year. So players that are going into their senior year would be the only players eligible for that event. And there is no star requirement for that senior showcase or our preview series. So the series for players just getting started, you don't need to have any stars established in order to apply to those.
And how do you prioritize who gets in? That's based on what?
So for the senior showcase, we accept as many players that will apply that, for those events specifically, because we want them to have that opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Thank you, Gus. Any other questions?
While we wait for our next question, one thing I'll mention, Ro, is that if people are looking at our schedule and you don't see an AJGA event that's currently near where you guys live and you're not able to travel, we're always looking to add new events in our schedule. And if you're interested in getting involved to help bring an AJGA event to your area, either Kayla and I would be glad to share further information on how to do that. Or if there currently is an AJGA event in your area and you're just curious and you want to learn more, we're not currently allowing spectators at any of our events due to our COVID policies, but we do certainly have volunteer opportunities. So if you wanted to volunteer at an event, that would be an opportunity for you to see an AJGA event firsthand.
Thank you, Patrick. So Patrick, I have a question for you. Now, this may be a tough one, okay? You or Kayla can take it. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to help with the diversity issue in the game of golf right now?
So I was going to interrupt and make that the next point, because at the beginning you mentioned the MAC Champ Invitational, and I'm actually running the MAC Champ Invitational. So we've been lucky enough in the past few months to have partnered with the Cameron Champ Foundation. So I'll also be headed out to Houston in a couple weeks now for that event, which I'm looking forward to. And I know Jamie talks with Laura and Shelly all the time from our team about, ways that we're trying to diversify, and of course, being able to partner with the Black Golf Directory and you to get out the information, and people like Cameron Champ and Harold Varner, who are so dedicated to diversifying the game and giving access. And I think what's really important about both Harold and Cameron's foundation is really starting at the ground level. So of course, we're talking, the AJGA, we're talking kind of that competitive elite level golf. And by partnering with them, they're really paving the way for minorities who may not have access to golf or may not be able to afford golf, or it's not in their area. I didn't grow up playing golf personally, but I know that my dad didn't start playing golf until he was 40 because it's just not something that was accessible for him. So I think by partnering with people like them, as well as the First Tee is another big one for us, and this new partnership with US Kids Golf is just, finding those people and being able to assist them. And we're still learning, and of course, happy to, take any feedback and any suggestions that anyone has. And that's definitely a big focus of ours.
Thank you, Kayla. Appreciate that. And also, before we get our next question, I want to thank Jamie from the Black Golf Directory for really coordinating this podcast. So shout out to Jamie. Thank you so much for all you do, Jamie. Appreciate you.
Thank you both, and Ro, for just putting this together, because I know we've been talking about this for a few months. You guys are very busy, but I appreciate it. And I do have a question, actually. Okay. I run a junior program, and I kind of wanted to know, as far as your ACE grant, so if someone's interested in, let's just say the preview qualifier, they never played before, but they want to apply for an ACE grant. How does that work? Does the ACE, if they apply for it, do they already have to sign up as a member? And if they do sign up and they get it, is it like a reimbursement thing, or do they wait? I mean, just how does that work?
Yeah, so the ACE grant is a reimbursement program, and players, before they even apply to the AJGA, they can go to our website. As Kayla mentioned, we do have an anonymous calculator that gives you a pretty good idea before you even apply to the AJGA whether you would be eligible to receive some sort of funding through that ACE grant. And with the ACE grant, if you do apply to become an AJGA member and then are accepted into the ACE grant program, you would have that membership reimbursed. And as I mentioned, it is a reimbursement program. So as you play through your junior golf season, you would be able to submit expenses from traveling to events, whether that be food related, entry fees, practice, and we would reimburse those expenses after the fact. But in addition to the AJGA events, we also recognize events outside of the AJGA. So if an ACE grant member is playing in their state junior, that is still an eligible event to get reimbursement through the AJGA. So there's a lot of opportunities. The maximum reimbursement is $4,500 a year per player. And that is, again, once based on expenses that are actually spent throughout the year.
Okay, so just to clarify, once the person applies to become an ACE grant recipient, once they're notified that they are an ACE grant member, anytime they play AJGA sanctified, or however you word, sanctioned, that's the word, sanctioned event, then they could just submit the receipts for reimbursement throughout the season.
Correct. Yep. So we have a program director who works directly with all of our ACE grant recipients and lets them know what expenses are eligible and what receipts are needed, and they can be submitted at any point throughout the year once that event's taken place.
Got it. And what's the ideal time to apply for that? Because I know people are all over. So what's the time frame?
Yep. So the ACE grant application is currently open as of January 6th this year. So any players that are already AJGA members or are looking to become AJGA members could go ahead and apply to that program now. And if you go onto the AJGA website, you can find all the information that's needed in order to apply.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Jamie. We have a question from the chat line, and I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to let the expert answer. What yardages do the 12 to 15-year-olds typically play from?
I'm curious can you tell me what your guess was?
Oh, my guess is the same yardages, but they just play in their category, but from the same yardages that the older kids do.
So we have two separate types of events there. It kind of 12 to 15, I guess you could say, would fall into any category. So for our preview events, for the boys, you're talking just under 6,500 and 5,500 for the girls. In our Junior All-Star Series, which is specifically designed only for that 12 to 15 age group, you're looking around 6,600 and around for the boys and around 5,700 for the girls. And then for our open events, it is open from 12 to 18, and we don't do age division, so everyone will be playing the same yardages, which would be around 6,800 for the boys and about 6,000 for the girls. And those are just averages. Of course, some courses we play are shorter than that, and we take various things into account, but I would say that's a good average.
I just want to let you know, at Mount Vintage, Lil John, he was 13 and played from 7,100 yards.
Wow.
Look at Pat.
So slightly above average.
I know. Just kidding.
And Rose, something that I'll add to what Kayla mentioned, and sometimes can be a bit of a misconception for some players when they are thinking of the AJGA, is what our scoring averages kind of are for some of those series. I think sometimes there is a bit of a misconception where I have to be a scratch golfer to play AJGA, or I have to be under par every single round. And so what I want to share is just kind of the scoring averages by series there. Specifically for players that are just getting started. On the boys side for our preview series, the scoring average is right around 80. So, certainly much higher than I think what most people assume that it is. For the girls, it's closer around 82. For our Junior All-Star Series, you're going to start to see some of those lower scores. So scoring average for Junior All-Star Series boys is around 76. The girls is around 77. And then the Open Series, you're about 75.5 is the scoring average for your boys, and then 77 for the girls. So even at the Open Series, which is some of our best players, you're still not, at a par average. And Corey wants to know Invitationals. Invitationals are about 74.5 for the boys and 75 for the girls. And, one thing that is difficult with a lot of the courses that we play is that no course is really designed for a competitive girl golfer. So a lot of the yardages are sometimes unique mixes of different tee boxes, and that can sometimes play a factor in the yardages and the scoring average for the girls. But for the boys, when you get up the invitational level, most often we're playing hard pin locations and we're playing close to the tips at whatever the golf course is.
And I think additionally, what a good resource for that is we typically post our yardages on our website as soon as the tournament becomes available. So we'll post yardages as well as the slope and rating. So you're able to go ahead, if you're looking at tournaments down the road, you're able to go ahead and get on the AJGA website, look at that event, look at what those yardages are that were projected to play, look at what that slope and rating is, and see if that's something that you think would match your junior's game, and kind of weigh it out that way as well.
Awesome. Okay,
Ro, can I do one testimonial that I need to share?
yes, go right ahead, Jamie.
So the other benefit that other than just competing at a high level and playing, the great yardages, I've played with professional pro golfers, specifically Pbe, who participated in AJGA events growing up. And when I did a pro-am with her, the level of service that she provided us, the sponsors, was beyond. I mean, we played. She was talking to us. She picked up our balls. We were playing a scramble. She ran her cart around, picked up everybody's balls, threw them at the area where we were all meeting, made marked balls, did whatever. She took care of us like, we were VIP. And I had never played in pro-am at the time. And I asked her, I said, is this normal? And she said, well, this is what I learned to do. And I found that that's because she played AJGA, and AJGA taught her this is how the standard. Wow. Vice versa, I played the LPGA Pro-Am today in Ocala, and
Nice.
I played with 2 tour players, and neither of them did this. Now, I can't say if they played AJGA or not, but let me tell you, I told the Caribbean, when I played with her, I said, the standards are high now when I play these Pro-Ams, and I actually waited to see as they drove by my ball if they were going to pick it up, and I was like, so I just want to, so that's another thing that you all do well that I don't think people understand, and preparing these players to play at a high level, because the pro-ams are designed to get sponsors for these players. So they're out here, in her words, it was, we're supposed to make this a good experience for you because you're the sponsor and you're supporting this event. So, AJGA did a great job with that. And I think that's something that you guys really should promote more, because that's going to really give these juniors an edge when they're going to look for sponsorship.
Yeah, and I mentioned that a little bit earlier kind of quickly, but those pro-ams mimic what we do for our junior AMs, which we find so important, because just exactly like you said, it gives them the opportunity to interact with those sponsors and kind of learn how to have, as a 13, 14-year-old, learn how to have a conversation with an adult that isn't, your parent or in your circle of friends. And I appreciate you sharing that. That's awesome.
Great.
And looks like we have a few questions.
I have a question too.
Okay, perfect.
About the MAC champ, will it receive PBE, and more importantly, will it receive Rolex points?
So as of now, I believe it will be receiving PBE, like a lot of other local events that happen. I do not believe it will be receiving Rolex points.
Okay. Also, I have another question. What was the reason for the rule change for our junior all-stars and then for y'all to change it back?
Yeah, so that's a popular question that we got, and ultimately, based on some of the feedback that we received, we realized that it was a little bit rolled out without proper notification to players to be able to plan for their seasons. We just kind of popped it up there and didn't give any players advance notice. So we realized there was an error on our part there and not getting that information out soon enough. So we felt the right thing to do was to change back to what the requirements were as of last season. And I believe we announced that change will now not take place until 2023, I believe.
Yeah.
Which will ultimately give any players that are trying to plan for their seasons to have plenty of time to plan out and know where they're going to be once that goes into effect. So that was the reason, and certainly understand your question there, because we did receive several questions on that specifically.
All right.
So for those of us not to know, what was the change and what was the change back to?
So the change was specifically for our Junior All-Star Series, as it pertains to the 15-year-old. As it pertains to 15-year-olds, it used to be that as long as you were 15 at the start of the tournament, you would be eligible to play on that Junior All-Star Series. The change that was announced early in the year was that if you had turned 15 prior to the start of the new year, you would not be eligible to play in those Junior All-Stars this coming season, but we've now reverted that. So as long as you are still of age at the start of the tournament, you're eligible to play in that Junior All-Star Series.
Thank you.
All right. So my last question is, out of curiosity, why do you feel it's so hard for African-American males to make it to invitationals? Because I don't believe it's been more than 10 in the last 20 years.
I think it probably starts with opportunities and us making sure that we have opportunities and other tours have the opportunities to get that exposure. And I think when you look at a lot of players that are in this scenario of trying to get to that invitational level, at least at the AJGA, it is very much dependent on being able to acquire that PBE status, whether you're playing in AJGA tournaments or non-AJGA tournaments. So I really do think it comes to a lack of opportunity, and thankfully, there are a lot of tours that are starting to sprout up. Earlier, Ro mentioned the Pbe event, which is several hundred events that have been added. The Hurricane Junior Golf Tour has several hundred events on their schedule each year. And when you look historically, I mean, the AJGA itself, we're only about 40 years old. So when you look historically over the last 10 years or so, there really wasn't a lot of national junior golf tournaments outside of the AJGA. And even in the last 5 years with the AJGA, we've added almost 30 events to our schedule each year, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is when you're looking at how many playing opportunities that's resulting in, across our schedule. But Kayla, I'll see if you've got any other thoughts there, but I think it really just comes down to, the opportunities that are out there and making sure that, we're continuing to expand and continue to advertise to make players aware of the opportunities, and certainly appreciate what this podcast is designed to do and get that information out there to players. But that would be my personal thoughts.
Yeah, and I think on the boys side as well as the girl side too, there just haven't been. I think you're exactly right. I think 10 is probably, I can't say it's an accurate number, but I would say it's pretty close. And I would echo what Patrick said about it being in opportunities and starting earlier. And I think even things like the US Kids Golf and you're not restarting when you enter the AJGA, and being able to transfer a lot more of those, performance-based stars. And I think that goes kind of hand in hand, as we were mentioning earlier too, with the MAC Champ Invitational. And that was one of our goals with partnering with them, with an all minority event to get, players. I think 30% of the field at the MAC Champ Invitational will have played in an AJGA event, and being able to prepare those players for, these types of opportunities, as well as educate people on what, how to get into the AJGA, because, we do understand that with, PBE and all of the stars, that it is complicated. So, us being able to talk about it like this and answer the questions too, I think is an important step as well.
So how do you guys determine what tournaments get Rolex points? Because you have several other tournaments outside of AJ that get them. How do you determine that? Is it based on longevity? It's obviously not strength of fields, because some of them are not that strong. So how do you determine who get the Rolex points? Because that's how you get into the invitationals.
Right. So I personally don't know exactly how we handle it for outside events. I know strength of the field does play a factor in that. Okay. Specifically with all AJGA events, they, dependent on the series, they are all have a set minimum of points that is established for that tournament as a baseline. So open events is 35 points, junior all-stars is 20, the senior showcase is 20, preview events is 15. And then our 12 to 15-year-old preview events is 10 points. That is the minimum that all those events will receive from a Rolex points ranking. And then it can only go up from there based on the strength of the field. When it comes to some of the outside events, I don't know exactly what gets factored in that. But if you were specifically curious on that, our player services team would certainly be able to answer that question better than I could. And they're available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. Eastern. And you can find their phone number on our website.
Because if you don't get that 6th tournament, you don't get in the invitationals. That 0 is killing everybody. It kills us.
Right.
So, I just thought, if you guys want to help, I just think that perhaps the MAC Champ should, as a minority event, as the only minority junior event in the country, perhaps it should get Rolex points. Just my thought. But I think you guys are doing a great job, by the way.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I would echo Pat. I wish, unfortunately, I can't speak too much to Rolex points, beyond what Patrick said. And I think, the feedback, of course, is extremely helpful and definitely something that, we can look out for and can get back to you on how it works in that sense.
Thank you so much. I love y'all.
Thanks, Mark.
And then I saw in the chat, Maurice asked about spectators at AJGA events. As of right now, Spectators is based off of the county restrictions and COVID protocols. So in a non kind of COVID time, events would be open, bring as many friends and family out. But as of right now, just it depends based on the tournament, but it wouldn't be any more than your immediate family. Some of them, it is just one, but a lot of them have opened up to be immediate family members.
So Texas is open for business now, apparently. So that means there'll be no limitation, I assume.
I cannot speak on Texas. Pat and I are based up in the Northeast, which is not open for business. But I'm sure that'll be updated with whatever it is shortly.
Hey, Darren, somebody posted, they said, Texas gone Texas. Right. All right. So y'all, any other questions for Kayla or Patrick before we wrap up? Any other additional questions?
And Ro, what I will add, in addition to mentioning our player services for the Rolex points, they're certainly available to answer any and all questions as it relates to the AJGA. We've got a fantastic team of individuals that's there in the office every single day to answer the questions that our members and future members have. So if it's, you're looking at the schedule and you're trying to figure out which events are most realistic to get into, if you're trying to figure out how many stars you currently have, or if an event you're looking at a play in is going to get stars, they can really answer anything and everything there when it comes to, playing and getting accepted to and looking at AJGA events. So I cannot tout them enough and encourage those with questions to reach out to that team. And you can reach them at ajga@ajga.org or at the phone number that's located